seat. Therein starts pretty much all our practices. I will sit in Sukhasana today, the pose of the adept. Sukhasana, cross-legged. Virasana, Yogasana. Let it be comfortable so that there is the least amount of strain in the spine, that the vertebrae just stacks one on top of the other without a lot of effort, with the head resting on top. We start with prana mudra. That is taking the thumb to the ring finger and the index finger and resting your palms on your thighs, however it is comfortable. Mudras are interesting. It is, in essence, connecting, Agnes, I can see you. So thumb to index finger and, not index finger, sorry, ring finger there, yeah, ring finger and pinky finger. Thank you, thank you. I knew what I meant, I just didn't say what I meant. So have your two peace fingers out at front. Thank you. The mudras, we don't have to practice yoga when we are applying mudras. It can be any time, before we go to sleep at night, when we watch TV, when we just sit in meditation. It is connecting currents in our body, the nadis, these lines of energy, to facilitate an opening of certain nadis. And prana vayu, one of the five vayu, five winds or energetic movements in our body. We are now inviting nourishment incoming to our bodies. That is the breath, that is food, that is company, that whatever that we surround ourselves with, may it be of nurture, may it bring us wellness. I invite you to incorporate Ujjayi breath, the victorious breath, sometimes called Darth Vader breath or ocean breath, that gentle hissing breath by restricting the back of the throat. What you do when you fog up a mirror or glass. And it can be helpful to do an out breath with that sensation. And you feel that openness in the back of the palate. So when you practice Ujjayi, taking care not to clamp down on the palate, but keeping it open and wide in the back of the mouth. We can do just the out breath or add the in breath. I rarely recommend doing just the in breath for Ujjayi, as that can be anxiety inducing. So either in and out breath or just the out breath to induce relaxation and ease. Let your belly fill up as you breathe in. And draw back to the spine softly on the out breath. So letting it be easy. What Ujjayi provides us with is we can actually hear our breath. So as you listen for the soft hissing sound produced, does the breath sound smooth, steady, and even? Or is there choppiness? Are there restrictions? The sound of the breath is deeply calming to the mind. It gets the monkey mind to pause as we simply pay attention to the in-breath, to the out-breath. Invoking 2 of our 3 tools in our yoga practice, breath and stillness. And just simply relax your hands. Stretch the fingers, opening your eyes if they are closed. And we'll switch to cross with the legs. And let's do our opening stretches. Interlace the fingers, stretch the hands up. We'll side bend to the right. Coming back up to the left. And back up, let's twist. Inhaling up, reach, twist to the other side. Inhaling up. And take the hands down. We'll take the legs out in front. Shake the legs. And then pull the soles of the feet in, Badakanasana. Some days we just don't have a lot of time to practice. So these 4 little poses, throw in a dog, then you'd have an inversion. And then it is all good. It is all good. Take the hands to the hips and rock the knees from side to side. Not a lot of external rotation in the practice. Hello, 336-239-7206. I hope to see who you are shortly, but everybody else must come into standing. And I hope you can see me and are ready to practice. As we stand, we'll start with the mobilization sequence that I like to start with every day before I really get into the Tibetan. So stand with the feet close together. I'll stand with the front. You can see my feet close together. Bend the knees and take your hands onto your knees. You're talking to a very short child. So keep your feet as close together as you can, legs together, and then do circles with the knees, circling the knees. Keeping your feet flat and wide on the mat. So we're getting both ankle and knee mobilization. Let's do the other directions. Really good for the cartilage in the knees, but don't overdo it, right? Everything can be overdone. If something hurts, back off, back off, back off. And then from here, standing up, take your feet wider than your hips, and we'll do our hula hoop mobility. Swing the hips around. So we're doing these about 5-ish times. Each directions. So we'll switch. Around and around we go. Hey, Sally.
I'm so glad you're better.
I am better. Thank you.
Good.
Now, are you 239-72062?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
the mystery has been solved. From the circling, I see you, we have you 2 times. I don't see your picture, your camera is turned off.
Well, here I am, but where is it?
Right here. Good.
Don't worry about me. I'm coming.
You know what's coming anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
And then turning from side to side. So this is about your ribs mobility, letting your spine get a little bit of rotation. So interestingly enough, the 5 Tibetans really don't have any rotation. So I always add that to make sure it is a complete practice. We move on to the shoulders. Take your hands on top of your shoulders and then draw big shoulder circles. And let's switch direction. And I think that was about even. So now I'll bend down so you can see me. For the head, simply draw the right ear down towards the right shoulder and let it come up. Take it down to the left, back up. You're not looking for a stretch as much as you're just working on your mobility. Inviting the body to move with ease, not force. If everything we have to do has to come from a place of force where there's a lot of restriction, our movements will get smaller and smaller over time. That is not a good thing. And I think we are ready. So the first one of the Tibetans is the spinner. This is to get our chakras all turning. You're always going to spin clockwise. The arms out to the sides, and you spin as fast or as slow as good for you. And on this one here, we don't have to count. I find the more I pay attention to my feet sensation on my mat and floor, the steadier I am in my spinning. When you've had your fill, you will stand still. Take your feet about hip width apart and take your hands to your hips for the power stance. There. I'm going to take 5 breaths here. The power stance is funny. Research has indicated that standing like this for 20 to 30 seconds actually increases testosterone. Who knew? So give yourself a little power break throughout the day. Ujjayi breath is always good to incorporate. Now from here, our next one is our leg lift. So let's come onto the mat. And we'll start with the gentler variation with our left knee bend up. So I've been playing around with this week. I'll keep the left knee bend up and the right leg straight. That helps my steadiness of the pelvis. So as you take a breath in and as you exhale, flatten the low back. And that is what we're going to need for stability. What's interesting in the Tibetans, they cue everything on the in-breath. So we're going to have to work a little bit backwards. So you'll breathe in, but at the same time, flattening the low back. Lift the head, lift your right leg up. And then lower it down. Take a breath in and out. And then on the next in-breath, flattening the low back, lift the head, lift your leg. See how easy this is? Let's switch to the other side. Again, flattening, and then inhale, lift. And let the leg just go up as high as it goes. Not forcing, not straining. It may not be straight all the way. That's okay. Let's do that again on the in-breath. Head and leg. Easy peasy. So playing with the different modifications, that way we know what size is ours to practice right now. We'll bend up both knees. So now we add a little bit more weight to the lever, but the principle remains the same. Flattening the low back, inhale, draw the knees to the chest, chin to the chest, lowering back down. So we played with this last week when we did the Baxter without hands. Let's repeat. On the in-breath, flattening, lifting, and lowering. Keeping the spine still. If you hear a lot of clunking in your back as you move. Can you ground a little bit more? One more time, lifting the legs and lower down. And so the big Lebowski is straight legs. And now it is really important that the spine is well grounded, that Uddiyana and Mula Bandha. So lifting the pelvic floor and the lower abdomen as you inhale and lift up straight legs and exhale down. So choose the one that's right for you. Maybe it's the bent knees, maybe it's one leg, and then have at it for about 6-ish repetitions. So I'm going to have a look-see at you as you continue. Do the one that you feel is most beneficial through either both straight legs, bent knees, or one leg at a time. Lifting the head with your knees, but keeping the hands down, hands not involved. Here we are stimulating the thyroid and the lower abdomen and the gut, the intestines. Getting a little squeeze, a little release. Taking a breath in between helps us relax so we don't keep tone on the muscles. And then once you've completed the number that is right for you, then you can start from this number tomorrow. You will roll over and come up into kneeling for Camel Pose. And what is different about Camel Pose in the Tibetans is the toes are tucked under. As in classical Hatha, we have flat feet. Not here. Now, instructions are either to put your hands as high on your thighs or low on your butt as you can. Though, I prefer to make fists and then I place my hands right on my sacrum. I find that this gives me more stability. So I'll let you do the one that is most comfortable for you. The shoulders are drawing back, chin to the chest. And then as you inhale, go back and exhale, tuck the chin. Inhaling, going back, and exhale, tucking the chin. Back and forth. I'm looking at you again. Again, you can go about 6, maybe more repetitions. You can take a breath in between. It's not about speed as much as it is executing. So this opens the entire front body, no surprise. This pose has been so helpful for me for my COVID neck pain with poor working conditions on my laptop. Once you have repeated 6-ish, maybe a few more, you will come to sit in Dandasana. Now the reverse tabletop, I have demonstrated earlier this week with a chair. And some of you, are you going to want the chair again or are you good? It can be a little bit brutal on the wrist. Let me show the pose first, and then we'll know if we want the chair. Hands besides the hips. So my head, my shoulders, and my hands are lining up. My feet are separated, maybe about a foot apart, so not super narrow. I find that easier. This is the same motions as we did in Ustrasana, Camel Pose, starting with the chin bowed, and then inhale, dig the heels down, lifting up to reverse tabletop, And exhale, lowering down. Inhaling, lifting up. So, how are we doing? And, oh, Barbara, let me show you with the chair. The chair variation, so just pause it a wee bit. Thank you, Barbara, you didn't see it. It takes a load off the wrists. So when you sit on a chair, we don't have so high to lift, and we still get the benefit of the pose, where you start seated, like so. Lifting the hips. So either is fine. I'm looking to see how we're doing. Lifting up, let the head go back, and then sliding back in to the starting. This one is probably the one that gives practitioners the most grief. So with the chair, we get the neck opening. Now another one we can exchange this with is bridge pose, but we don't get this movement around the neck to support the thyroid gland. And that is an important aspect. How are you guys doing so far? No worse for the wear. Our next movement is my favorite. Let's start with a modification for this one here. So we start in our tall cobra, straight arms. And then we inhale back to puppy. And we exhale to cobra. How easy that is. So let's just do a few of these, because that gets our shoulders and hips wrong. So again, think of the neck movement, lifting the chin in cobra. Reverse the breath. You're inhaling back to puppy, and you are exhaling into the tall cobra. So we can add a little bit to this one here, which I do in my practice. So now I became one of they. When I come forward to cobra, before I come into it, I do a push-up. And then I continue the exhalation. And then I inhale back again. I come forward, I do the push-up. And that way we get a little bit of upper body strength added into this one. See, this is pretty easy, right? Doesn't have to be hard to be beneficial. And then, of course, should you like, we can take it into the classical variation. You guys are looking so good. From up dog, that's the starting position. Inhale, downward facing dog. I take it forward to plank, and I do a push up here too, before I continue into up dog. So do the one that feels the best for you. This is not about beating yourself up. Think about the front line, lengthening, compressing. That is what helps these organs work well. And then after, I could just let you go on for another 5 minutes. You guys look so comfortable. But let's do one more. And then from up dog, let your knees come down and rest in wide knee child's pose. That can be happy baby too. So Sally, whatever is happiest for your knees. Feel your body, your breath. What happened by applying these quick? It is so quick. And it's part of my daily practice. Let's take the hands under the shoulders and sit up. So where this sequence is lacking sorely, of course, is twisting. So let's apply a couple of twists. We'll start with a seated twist. So sitting up on one or two blankets. For Dandasana, seated stack pose. And if the hamstrings are fussing a little bit, I know you know to put some height under the straight leg. So we'll keep the left leg straight. We'll bend up the right knee. Bend up the right knee. Take the hands around the shin and let's lengthen upward, lengthen up. Keep your straight leg well grounded and then coat hanger your right leg with your left arm and take your right arm back. Inhale, lifting up through the crown of the head, pull the belly in and up. And then begin to twist to the right. Barbara, switch your arms. Left, yes. Ease in breath, lift, 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 lift. Ease out, press deepen. You're just doing Merchasana 1 instead of 2. Nothing wrong with that. It is a pose. Lift, 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 lift. Deepen on the exhalation. More so in the thoracic spine as in the lumbar spine. And releasing back to neutral. Let's switch to the other side. Take the left leg up. Take the hands around the shin again and lift up. Move the spine into the back body. Especially again in the thoracic spine. And then coat hanger the arm, keep the lift and the length, take the left arm back, lifting and deepen the twist. Each in breath creates a little bit more lift. Each out breath deepens the twist. Lifting and twisting. Nice. And then slowly release back to center. We're going to switch again. Going back to the left side. Take the hands again around, lifting. Coat hangering again. Take your right arm back again, lifting up. Lifting up. Tall, 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 twist. Now turn the head all the way back. Look over your right shoulder. Stretch the eyes to the right. Now keep that twist in the torso as you turn the head forward, looking over the left shoulder. And stretch your eyes to the left. And we take the head all the way back to the right. And we unwind the whole bit. Let's switch. Computer work, our eyes get stuck in our heads. And who is not spending a lot of time these days looking at a screen? And especially if we wear glasses, even more so. Lift, 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 lift. Coat hanger, right arm around the left knee, left arm back, lifting, twisting, deepening. Stretch your gaze and your head back over your left shoulder. And then slowly begin to turn your head and look over the right shoulder, but keep your spine twisting to the left. So we are counter twisting in the cervical spine, and then we stretch the eyes to the right. So now we are getting the stomach and the kidneys and the adrenal glands a really good squeeze, in addition to the intestines. Let's do one more breath. Turn the head, look back over your left shoulder, and then unwind all of it. Back to center. Dandasana, seated staff pose. Lengthening up through the crown of the head, reaching up through the heels. Take the arms up, reaching the arms up. Grounding the legs, grounding the sits bones. And take the hands down. So we twist it, but now let's apply a little bit of restorative poses. So earlier this week we did restorative twist, but we already done that, so now we're going to go straight to our dog. First, let's just check out our dog to see how it's doing today. A dog a day keeps the doctor away, they say. From tabletop-ish, let's just take the hips up. How does that dog feel? So it might be a little bit of a shorter dog than normally. The head hangs. Now, if you step the feet about as wide as the mat, you may feel a little bit more space across the pelvis and a little bit more sense of groundedness. You may also feel none of those things. So downward facing dog, the head hangs, which for the most part of the time is not a problem unless you're going to stay here for a while. And how to do that without increasing the pressure in the head. Well, let me show you. So for this, you'll take your block, and I'm placing mine on the middle height. You may need two, you may need a blanket. You don't know until you come into the pose. So this is restorative dog. Now see how far down my block is in relationship to my head. Just watch as I come into the pose. From here, nothing has changed in what we just did. I lift up and I go back. And if the block is in the right place, my hairline, so not the top of the head, I still have a neutral neck, will be just softly resting on the block. I'm not jamming my low back. You might like to walk your feet in a little bit, and then you can stay here for a long time. So let's see what happens. Let's see. So forget the blocks are there, and then lift up. And if your forehead comes to just land on it without any effort, it's in the right place. So don't bend your knees. You can stack two blocks on top of one another. Sometimes that is the happy place. You can also turn it up on the higher level. So this is a pose that takes a little bit of practice, exploration to sort up. So do your normal dog, and when you lift up, is there a block for your head? Is there support for your head? Maybe walk your dog in a little bit. Take the feet wider and walk your dog in a little bit. And the knees can absolutely bend. Now, if you feel like the head is being jammed into your neck, then the support is too high. So maybe a block and a blanket. Like I said, it takes a little bit of curiosity. When we apply pressure to the head in this way, we create a recoil that allows circulation to continue without, again, pooling in the head. It is a deeply calming pose for your body. You're basically doing a headstand, getting the benefits from a headstand without doing a headstand. So now we are working with the pituitary gland, the pineal gland, and the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is sometimes called the master gland. Taking the knees down and rest. But before you do so, you're going to set up for wide knee child's pose. I'm taking my 2 blocks, placing my blankets on top of them. So I'm creating a bolster. 2 blocks, 2 blankets. You can see they're hiding under here, my blocks. So this is what I call a poor man's bolster. And I just bring this up so when I come forward, my chest can now rest on the support. And Sally, you might like to put that on your bolster if you have it nearby. Is that comfortable? So what you want to, when we use props for support, you want to be able to let go completely, not holding on. And then the poses very much become a mudra. Now we are holding the pose to facilitate the opening of the nadis, these energy channels in our bodies. These nadis were mapped out thousands of years ago, and both in Chinese medicine and also in the Ayurvedic sciences, it is crazy how they align with the nervous path, the nervous system that has been mapped out much more recently in Western medicine. So we just facilitate our body being able to communicate with itself. The breath draws into the back body. So again, breath and stillness are the 2 modalities that we are using. And then using your hands, pushing up, slide your bolster bit forward a wee bit, and then come to sit beside the bolster. Poor man's bolster or not. So I have thrown my legs to the side as if I were doing merman pose, and I'm ready to come into a restorative twist. Hands on either side of the bolster. Lift your hip closest to the bolster and slide it back a little bit so that you're lengthening the whole side waist on the side closest to your support. And then lowering down again. My ribs and my head now rests on the bolster. You can take your arms above, clasp one wrist with the other hand. Nose can be in the same direction as the knees. So this is a very gentle twist, but it still stimulates our adrenal glands, our kidneys, our stomach. Using the breath, moving it into your back body. You can incorporate Ujjayi breath. Are you able to let go? It's letting go. And we'll follow Wilt. Use your hands to push up. And just spin away from the bolster. And you'll find yourself on the other side. So as you turn away, flip the knees. And boom, hands on either sides. Again, lift the hip closest to the bolster, slide it back. And then come to lay down over the support. Take a moment to settle in. We don't always land well the first time around. Again, we direct the breath into the back. The back ribs, the back of the lungs. Prana, life force, prana vayu, incoming. And now from here, gently begin to walk your hands back towards the hips. So you got the setup right here. Lifting up again. Can we find another dog? Another inversion. If the blocks turns out to be more of a nuisance than a benefit, don't worry about it. Stretch the hips back, stretch the hips back. Let the head and the neck release down. And then transition. Walking the feet to the hands, hands to the feet, and stand up. Is we're going to be moving our whole setup to a wall or door or couch for Viparita Karani in the restorative version. So again, your 2 blocks are about 2 inches out from the wall. And then placing 1 blanket on top. Take your other blanket and place it on your mat, because that will get us ready for Shavasana. So Viparita Karni, sometimes called the master of all poses, have your blanket and blocks a couple of inches out from the wall in the long way. Now, if you have a back thingy, you may like to lay flat. You may not like any height on your Viparita Karni. Some days, we go for it in a flat way. Or just have a low support, maybe not the blocks. So I let you be the steward of your body. I have my blocks and then I have a blanket on top because I like softness. And then sit on the edge, get your buns on the wall, do the drop and roll, and come to have the legs on the wall. Now for hamstring considerations, have the blocks just out further so that you are not so tight to the wall, or bend the knees a little bit. So let me have a look. So John, I would move everything out away from the wall a little bit. Better? And you may want to do the same thing. I'm looking at your angle. If you come a little bit further away from the wall, just scoots a whole bit out. I know you got the eve. And so you want to facilitate the sacrum is laying flat on the support. So not tipped, so that you feel very grounded. If the pelvis is lifted upward at an angle to the floor, you will feel the blankets or the blocks sort of digging into it. See, everything becomes a prop. Now, if you are, we won't do it today, but if you were to hold this pose for 5-10 minutes, you could strap the legs together. Again, it is a deeply healing pose. It's an inversion. It's like a baby shoulder stand. So we get the throat benefit. The heart gets the rest because it doesn't have to pump the blood up from the legs. So we get more oxygen to the head. Again, benefiting the glands. And Sally, you're doing it full on, so that works too. And from here, we transition. Start by bending the knees, place the feet on the wall, and then scoots back just so that your hips come onto the mat. So your hips are coming onto the mat. And then you can cross your ankles, let the knees go out to the sides, and Supta Sukhasana. So cross-legged. And Sally, if you just scoops back from there, unless it just feels really good on your back to do that. So as you scoops back in Supta Sukhasana, again, we are opening the whole lower belly in this pose. And then we will incorporate Vyana Vayu. Vyana is the wind that spreads, diffuses throughout the body. So instead of the thumbs to the ring finger and pinky finger, you're now going to take the thumb to the index finger and middle finger. index finger. So the two fingers we didn't use before, we're now going to use. In Vyana Vayu, the prana is already in us, but now we want it to benefit every cell in the body. So as you breathe in, sense this spreading throughout. The prana moves beyond the lungs. It travels via the blood to every cell of the body. Picks up nutrients along the way, disposes of waste along the way. It's a marvelous, marvelous system, and we want this system to be super efficient. Now you can stay here in Supta Sukhasana, Supta reclined Sukhasana, cross-legged pose, easy pose, or you can push back to a straight leg Shavasana. I will let you be the judge of what you would like for the next few minutes for your practice. You may like to take your poor man's bolster or blanket with you for your knees or legs. If that's more comfortable for you to lay, you may like to cover. So make sure that this next part of the practice is really scrumptious, just absolutely divine. You just had a full tune-up. You're road ready. Now gently begin to deepen your breath. Drawing your knees together, bending them up if they are straight. And then either hug them in and rock from side to side, or with the feet on the mat, rocking from side to side. Just letting the spine know that we are about to shift position. Like giving the body an invitation instead of just kidnapping it. Eventually find your way over onto one side. Pause. Another invitation. And from here, pushing all the way up into a comfortable seated position. Singing, chanting a mantra is another way that we support our immune system. The vibration directly benefits our thymus and thyroid glands. So we'll close today with Om Shanti 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 Om. It's like, yes. So sing to your heart's content. Your body loves it. Let's take a deep breath in. Om Shanti 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 Om. Exhale and bow your head towards your heart, your body, your life, your existence. With gratitude and reverence. And we'll draw the gaze up. Thank you. Namaste. And I invite you to unmute yourself as I stop the recording.